What's going on, fellas, and welcome to this week's DEVO. We're going to be in Proverbs 19:3 this week. It says, when a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord. You know, one of the most difficult and most important lessons I think I've ever learned in manhood is to take ownership of every part of your life. Ownership of every part of our lives. Another way of thinking about this, or to think about ownership, is to take responsibility for all of your choices. Taking responsibility or ownership of all your choices ultimately means that when something happens that's less than good, or if something goes wrong, then we can put all the blame squarely on our shoulders. Now, on a positive note, there's a lot of freedom that comes with this when we realize that our happiness and success is all up to us. In other words, we get to make choices, and those choices are extremely powerful in our lives when we own our happiness and success. So that brings freedom, it brings joy, it also brings some amount of pressure. But the weight of responsibility and ownership frees us from becoming the kind of man that nobody likes. And that's the kind of man that when something good happens, loves to take credit for something, but when something bad happens or when something negative happens, he blames someone else. He kind of shirks responsibility and makes excuses and starts playing the blame game. Nobody likes that guy, and that guy is not worthy of any respect. And if that's you, which the truth is at some times in our lives, at different times in our lives, that's all of us. So if that's you, that's a challenge to not just take credit for the good stuff, but to take ownership of the bad stuff, of the difficult choices that are sadly just the result of poor choices. And that's exactly what's happening in our text. Proverbs 19:3, when a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord. There's several things to note in the text. Number one is this: folly will always bring your heart, your way, your life to ruin. The word folly is used 22 times in the book of Proverbs alone. Everything from the seductive woman to a quick temper is folly, and folly never ends up good. Listen to this. Folly, Proverbs 22:5, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him. Men, there is foolishness, there's folly bound up in all of our hearts. Discipline, no matter if we got discipline or not when we were kids, discipline drives folly from the heart. So you need to be building discipline in your life. From your schedule, your sleep schedule, when you go to bed, when you get up, your exercise schedule, how hard you're getting after it in the gym, whether or not you're physically staying fit, what you eat, all of that, right? Discipline will drive folly. And there's a lot of folly in our heart in a lot of different areas. So you need discipline. Discipline's good. Number two, folly will eventually find us all, right? There's going to be foolish moments, there's going to be negative moments, there's going to be bad moments in all of our lives. None of us are immune to folly. We are often blind to folly. How much more do we need people who we trust, people who are faithful friends who will point out these weaknesses in our lives? But this is precisely where we need to be careful, you and I. The fool acts like a fool and then blames it on God. And not only does he blame it on God, what makes it worse, it says that his heart rages against the Lord. So frustration and anger turn to bitterness very, very quickly. And we must guard against that. Foolishness, folly will find us all. But if we're not careful, it will lead to the anger and bitterness against the Lord. But the good news is, the practical and tactical this week is two things. Proverbs 14:8, the wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, but the folly of fools is deceiving. We can learn from our mistakes, both past and present. Take advantage of them. Don't waste them. They're opportunities to learn, to grow, to get better. So that's one. And number two, nothing guards against an angry and bitter heart like gratitude does. Nothing guards against it better than gratitude. Proverbs 17:22, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. Men, you're going to do some dumb stuff, right? You're going to do some foolish stuff. Learn from it. Listen, especially listen to those and thank those who have the courage to tell you about it. Learn from it and don't let it turn into bitterness. Instead, posture your heart towards the Lord as a heart full of gratitude, a heart that's always ready to worship and give praise and honor to God when it is due, and which It's always do. I hope you have an incredible week. Look forward to touching base with you soon, whether that's coming to a Bible study, a meeting, or just interacting together online. Have an incredible week. Go crush it. Talk to you soon.